Pull on up a chair. You're at Camp Video Games, y'all.
I was driving down the old dirt road outside here at Camp Video Games, listening to the theme song for the Super Mario Brothers Super Show. It's a song that takes me back to a simpler time when things weren't so complicated and dreary. And a single tear rolls down my cheek with the Mario Brothers implements our game. And this big Cadillac Escalade drives right in front of me and stops. And like I have to come to a screeching halt. And I'm like, this is just like how Mario felt when King Koopa kidnapped his brother Luigi. Tears down my eyes. I'm having just like an epiphany that like Mario is in all of us. Welcome to Camp Video Games. I am Junior Camp Counselor Sean, and with me is Junior Camp Counselor Josh.
I'm Junior Camp Counselor Josh. I mean, usually I've got like hiking or camping tips for the kids here at camp, but that one's tough to beat. Just remember there's a little Mario in all of us. When you go out, you're foraging for mushrooms, exploring, going down pipes, all that fun stuff, touching fire flowers. Yeah, this is a video game, or this is a podcast about video games and their adaptation to other media. We've already spoken about the 1993 Mario Brothers movie. This week, we're talking about the 2023 Mario Brothers movie from Illumination, Animation, whatever they call themselves.
The Minion
Idiots.
The Minions.
Yeah.
Yes. 2023. This was like made right before Super Mario Wonder came out.
Mm-hmm.
And it was made, I think this movie aligns more closely with Super Mario Wonder. Odyssey. I just played a little bit of that before we started talking here, and I think that was like the 2023 movie was made in the shadow of Super Mario Odyssey, in terms of like
they're
really trying to sell Bowser in a top hat.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, the spoiler alert for Mario Brothers movie 2023 is mostly the plot hinges on the fact that Bowser wants to steal Peach and marry her. Mario Odyssey hinges on the fact that Bowser wants to steal Peach and marry her.
That's right.
Yeah.
And Peach is, I mean, unless you play her as the playable character in Super Mario Wonder, she's like absent from the plot completely. Mm-hmm. Which is it's not a first time for the series, but it's interesting departure from the formula.
Right.
The formula, I suppose, is really just Mario has to save the kingdom while not being an active monarch. He's the lieutenant of the monarchy.
Yeah. Well, since we're diving right into like what is this film derived from?
Yeah.
Like it's I am hesitant to say plot. It's fine. The plot is fine.
It's fun.
Honestly, you know what it like matches up with beat for beat?
The
Mario Brothers movie 1993.
I know. I'm so glad I'm talking to you right now. This is a big, like it's a big cup of chicken noodle soup next to a fire. It is so cozy.
It's like they just brought in a big team of janitors to clean up all the slop of the 1993 movie.
Oh, I feel so good right now. So
and made the same movie again.
They made the same movie, but they made a more true to form Mario Brothers movie. Like this is before we really start talking through the beats of this film, I loved this movie. I went in very, very not sure how I felt from the advertisements that I've seen. Like I thought the Jack Black Peaches song was very catchy, but I didn't understand if that would work in a 90-minute, thank you movie for being 90 minutes too, but a 90-minute movie, it was the perfect amount of time. It did not overstay its welcome. It was very fun. I did not feel I was being pandered to. And the big thesis of this conversation, I think, for my take on the Super Mario Brothers movie, it's just called the Super Mario Brothers movie, which I love too, the simplicity, is that this movie like legitimizes that joy that you get from playing the games, and it takes it and it accurately translates it into the it hits all of the right marks for me as a fan of the Mario Brothers video games.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I like this movie about as much as I can like a movie like this for this audience.
Yeah.
You know? It's very much a children's movie. I legitimately would not trust a full-grown adult male who's like, this is my favorite movie, who like legitimately just like loves this movie, you know, and doesn't understand the context for which it's made, et cetera, if that makes any sense, you know. It's truly a kids movie for the Minions generation, you know.
Yeah.
As we first were mentioning, like Illumination and it being the Minions company, there is something that hurts my heart a little, that it's like the big budget Nintendo approved Mario Brothers movie opens with a like minion in a Mario Kart. They tried doing the little animation logo thing. It's like, oh, these are forever intertwined now.
Oh yeah. I mean, the devil cuts his palm and shakes the hand and passes the curse on to you. This is nothing but like, I mean, this is a corporate product, and the market
so
research
corporate.
worked. Like I truly feel that like, yep, like don't forget everybody, propaganda works on everyone.
Yeah, this might be the good point to talk about my attempts to. I wanted to know more about this movie and its development.
I didn't, and I love that about you.
I really wanted to dive in and understand the decision-making process, and like some of the thought process of like maybe the voice cast, the animation decisions, the story building decisions. There's nothing out there. There's nothing. I wanted
Cloak
like a
and
commentary.
dagger.
It's so carefully brand protected.
Yeah.
That the only things you can find are quote unquote behind the scenes cast videos.
People in voice
that are
booths?
they're just no, and you don't even get that. It's just like a marketing pitch by like Jack Black and Chris Pratt, and they're like, I remember smashing Goombas when I was a kid. I love the Super Mario Brothers. And that's quote unquote behind the scenes, like, ooh, real looks into how the cast feels about the games and the movie.
Here's my guess as to why they're being very closed doored about this is because of Bob Hoskins's runny little mouth after making the 93 movie. He and John Leguizamo, they had nothing nice to say about this like soulless corporate product that like was in their eyes as like actors a complete waste of time.
Yeah.
They didn't get to prove their chops or anything. This was just like, hey, like take the check, sign the check, shake the hand.
Yeah, and this is honestly no different. It's just that they didn't let like a crazy set of directors take control of the wheel. I envision every decision in this movie being made, stamped, and approved by a bunch of black suits in a big, long boardroom table.
If I remember correctly, when the movie starts, the first name you see is Miyamoto. And then you see, I think it's Meledandri, who I think is one of the producers of the film. I didn't do any research into this because I enjoyed this movie on like a primeval level. I mean, it's the same way that like you can get addicted to Mountain Dew.
Yeah.
You know, and it's just like, this is Mountain Dew and I just drank a case of it.
Yeah. And not to the degree I think you're espousing here, but I did find some of that same level of enjoyment of like familiar characters of a familiar world, handled capably, doing a well-paced beats of a children's movie that I can watch with an 8-year-old who is like every 2 minutes going, oh, watch this part. Oh, watch this part. You know, like I can appreciate it at that level.
Yeah.
Like that makes it one of the better adaptations that we've watched and talked about.
I agree with you completely. This is one of the best adaptations that we've talked about. In terms of, did it represent the source material in
Yes.
a way that does not betray the original, like, idea. And
Yeah.
this is a love letter to Nintendo. This is a incredibly fun, like, I'm not getting paid by Nintendo and they're not holding a gun to the back of my head right now.
like
But-
the cast.
Hello, I am Jack Black and I am a wild and crazy guy. No, but this
Who broke up my band because I did not want to fuck up my Illumination and Nintendo money.
hey man, I don't think I'm gonna have the same reaction to the Minecraft movie. I really don't think that's the case.
Well, he's
but
also on for part 2 of this movie, I believe. But
I the sequel bait at the end was very cute. It made me gasp. Okay, Josh, is this a period piece? I think it takes place in the early 90s as well. Like,
oh, that's interesting. I guess so. I guess some of the real world things we see like imply that we don't see a smartphone.
No.
or
No,
anything
wait,
like
no, we
that.
do.
Do we?
yeah, Luigi talks. Yeah, we know. I'm sorry, I totally just forgot. Luigi has a smartphone.
Yeah.
Psych. Okay, never mind.
Which makes like the dynamic of the Mario brothers as this like intergenerational Italian immigrant family that is pretty like honestly that's kind of adorably represented in the film.
Yeah, yeah.
Makes that a little weirder because like that's a little more rare these days.
Yeah, sure.
You don't see like well, I don't know.
I would be curious to do a little a tour of Brooklyn to see what kinds of family units are still in there like that.
Well, I just feel like intergenerational, everybody's still living together, like white families at this point in like Brooklyn, New York, whatever. It's gonna be more like Eastern European people who were like fleeing communism than
Yeah,
like
okay.
Italians, who I don't remember when the Italians came in mass to New York, but
The Godfather 2, I think, is what they
yeah, it was around the time that movie came out. But it's still like cute, and it does sort of harken to a certain like romanticized New York you don't really see anymore.
before Giuliani fucked it up.
Yeah, I don't think they thought that hard about it making the movie, but it was like it's kind of fun to see.
Yeah. So the Mario brothers, I mean, they're I think a really wonderful like design aspect of this movie is that they look the same as the video games. Like, this looks like Super Mario Odyssey. These characters, the way their proportions, like it's not
They're
like
just little guys.
they're just these cute little guys with these big noses and funny little mustaches, and it treats these cartoons that we've grown up with like seriously, in the sense that they have like gravitas. So there's a little bit of like human like yearning in them that is so vacant from a lot of modern children's movies, where it's just like loud noise.
Yeah.
Something says gibberish, and that's just the Minions movies. But those are fun movies. Like, it's popcorn. It's a case of Mountain Dew. Don't drink too much of it,
as
or
much
it'll
as I
ruin
talk
your
shit,
health.
I've laughed at a minion or two.
Yeah, of course. Because it's the same reason why if you are chemically reliant on Mountain Dew, I'm gonna keep honing in on this. This is
slop.
junk food.
This is
It is
slop,
slop
but
for the
it's-
masses.
It's fine.
But it's got some refinement.
Yeah.
It's like barrel aged slop.
Barrel aged Mountain Dew.
Yeah.
And like, a little bit of Mountain Dew every now and again ain't gonna kill you.
Nope. But
I want to I'll say on the faithfulness of the adaptation, I feel for the most part this squared something that I was like yearning for in the past few things we were talking about, like with the Resident Evil movies.
yeah.
Where they were so just like, look, we did the thing from the thing. See it. And like this movie does that still, but it's more Easter eggy and in the background.
Yeah.
Than like, oh, it's in my face. This is the whole point of the movie,
Yes.
is for you to notice that we know the source material.
Look, it's Trixie Kong.
Yeah, like I think it's fine for that stuff to exist in the movie. And something like this, what annoys me is people like us going like, did you see? Did you see? Like people after the fact being like, I noticed all the Easter eggs. Aren't I smart for knowing the Easter eggs in the Baby movie?
I did my video game homework.
Yeah. Whereas like in the movie itself, I think it's totally mostly fine because that's what it is. And you're building something more than just the sum of those parts.
So the reason I asked if this was a period piece of like the early 90s, late 80s is because of the god-awful soundtrack. That's the one complaint that I have.
Oh my God.
And I know we've like alluded to this in previous Mario
I've been talking about this for a year now.
but watching this movie and thinking of what could have been with a more Koji Kondo style like soundtrack in those parts where they instead just like they're like you like and again, here's the junk food, you know this song, your parents have made love to this song. Like,
oh, they said Brooklyn. We've got to play No Sleep Till Brooklyn because our audience is a bunch of stupid fucking idiots.
Yeah, I try not to dismiss the audience that way. I think there's a lot of I think most people are smarter than me, and by like watching these movies, it's more just about like they're being comforted with this familiarity that is just like it's just I don't know, it's like, oh, put on the old John Wayne movie, grandpa wants to go take a nap on the couch.
Yeah,
like
this is like our generation's version of that because we're the parents that are forced to watch this with kids.
Yeah where like screen time is like an act, like this is only 90 minutes, so the screen time is like you can still hit that quota and maybe have some time to play a Mario game afterward. But okay, Super Mario Brothers movie 2023. This was I guess it was a highly anticipated movie in the sense that this is finally like a proper Super Mario Brothers movie. When we're talking about like, okay, we're talking about Mickey Mouse, we're talking about Mario, these like Bugs Bunny, these like iconic like not celebrities but like mascots for these huge companies, and it's just we're like how many Mickey movies are there? Like you don't see Mickey Mouse movies really. It's like it's finally like in this case it's like when they make the Mario Brothers movie, this is like when King Theoden like delivers like a killing blow to like an orc where it's like, see, the king is back. He's doing it. Like it was the atrocious like response of the first Super Mario Brothers movie and of like those silly cartoons, like where it's just like this is supposed to be the guy for video games, and it's just like the absolute lack of quality content in that format of a film TV adaptation like was like a glaring omission from the Mario legacy, I guess is the right way to put it, where he is like, I mean, his games, Jesus Christ.
Mr. Miyamoto's games.
Where these are like some of the highest like ranked in terms of player and critic reviews. Yeah. They win video games.
And
but
now just like
lost
proliferation of brand. We may have said in one of the previous episodes is like, oh, Mario is becoming this generation's Mickey Mouse. You know?
We did talk about this. Okay. Yeah.
That like, you know, my little 8-year-old Chibis that we talk about, she was intimately familiar with Mario and the brand through YouTube.
Yeah.
Before she really ever played a game.
This was, I mean, this is a great introduction to the world of the Super Mario Brothers. Like watching the Super Mario Brothers movie, if you've never played one of the games, I would want to play them.
Yeah.
Like, and you don't need to have played the games to enjoy the movie. That's the important part. That's the real heart of this conversation, is that this is a movie that stands on all of the IP that Nintendo has coveted and hoarded and created most, but they're finally like, they found a palatable way to say, look, here's Nintendo. And like, this is like, you know, hello, welcome to Nintendo. This is what we do. Like we want you to have a good time.
Yeah.
And that's like this, it's a success. Like this is a successful video game adaptation that brought me the same type of joy that playing the video games has brought me, where it's just like, oh, that's such a great idea. I love that timing worked out. I love that the colors are so bright, and like it is chemically crafted to appeal to me.
Yeah. This is maybe a question we would normally save for like the end, but I'm going to ask it now. Now that you've seen this,
Yeah.
how do you feel about the green lighting of a Zelda movie?
You know, I was tackling that same question last night when I rewatched the Super Mario Brothers movie.
I just imagine you hunched over a desk, like meditating on
tenting
it.
my fingers, staring into the fire. This bodes well. I do think this bodes well in the sense that, like, okay, Mario has always been a lot sillier, and if they are going to, I assume a lot of the hype behind a Legend of Zelda movie is based around Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom, specifically in terms of Legend of Zelda and Ocarina of Time. Like the 3D Zeldas is what we're really getting after, where it's like the ones that had lore that seemed important, that seemed like you could, like the Legend of Zelda movie has the chance to double down on Nintendo's like media supremacy, where they like the same way that Disney has their fingers in every pot, like Nintendo is quickly, the octopus's tentacles increase with every blow, and they are like if they make a successful and true to form Legend of Zelda movie, if that's possible, then like I might have to get like that Zelda face tattoo I've been thinking about my whole life.
Yeah. I still contend I think too much Western influence in the production, like handing it to the Illumination people, or even just like, I don't know, a general American production team. Like I think my only hope for it is if basically Studio Ghibli and Nintendo maintain full control of it. Like this, I think kind of works because of the fact that like canonically Mario and Luigi are like New York Italian immigrants.
Yeah.
There's something about that works, and this is where it starts to tie into the 93 movie so much.
Yeah.
Like the opening of it's like, oh, they're just struggling Brooklyn plumbers, very specifically Brooklyn-based plumbers.
Yes.
and we even get like the scene from the 93 movie where John Leguizamo and Bob Hoskins were drunk driving a truck.
yes.
I'm pretty sure that even happens at the beginning of the movie.
Oh boy.
Like during the no sleep till Brooklyn thing when they're trying to get to a job really fast.
Yeah. They
like,
just animated a little bottle of scotch in that van.
There's an American sensibility about Mario that has been built into the brand enough at this point through its history that it can work in this setting again of like Western producers that I just don't think Zelda has.
That's a good way of putting it.
To stay with
the
its
only
source.
If the Legend of Zelda movie was being handled by like British filmmakers, like their take on the Legend of Zelda, I think would be a bit more interesting. Like, because like if you campers go back and listen to our extensive multi-hour conversations on the Legend of Zelda. But like the Arthurian lore like aspect of the Legend of Zelda like lore side is like, I think the British could handle that in a cool way, where like they know that like a dude with a sword and a shield isn't just like a big tough guy. You can have like a little wiry guy who be the hero. And I might be getting off track here, but
it's all good. I asked the question.
The fact that the Zelda movie is going to be live action. If they brought back like the old Hollywood and like if they like, we've talked about a little bit about like Jason and the Argonauts, where it's like if they could do that with like the practical sets with like maybe like stop motion or some sort of
but I love where you're going.
If they don't just overly rely on green screens, if they made a practical special effects Legend of Zelda movie, that would be
like
magical.
Labyrinth.
Yes.
Level.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
Cool.
If they got the Muppets in on the mix.
Yeah, dude.
Ooh.
You need that Henson production team.
Ooh.
Anyway, let's I'm sorry for going so far off the Mario Brothers movie. You were talking about the hype of the movie. Most of what I saw was online freakouts about the voice cast.
Yeah, that was my main gripe going into it. I was like, I hate all these celebrities. But where are you going with that?
Mostly that I agree that Chris Pratt does not really, I think, slam dunk Mario. I don't know, certain things just didn't fall into place for me.
Sure.
I love Charlie Day. I thought he did
Yes.
fine as Luigi. Keegan-Michael Key as Toad. All good. Jack Black, there's a Jack Blackiness to him in general that, like, anytime he's around, I'm like, okay, I get it. The loud guy,
Yep.
that, like, but I don't think he really overwhelms too much as Bowser. The Peaches song is cute. But this is a good opportunity to maybe mention this is Charles Martinet's final role
That's
as
right.
a voice actor for Nintendo before they've put him out to pasture as the Mario ambassador.
Is that what his new role is?
Yeah, like he's been designated some weird role where they're like, he's not like officially a representative of Nintendo, but we need to acknowledge that he's been around.
Yeah.
I think it's just because he's weird.
I assume there's not like Japanese voice acting for Mario games. Is it all
That's a good question. I don't know.
because like I mean the things that he says is just like wahoo, let's go, it's a me, mamma mia,
Right.
wah! Like and like Charles Martinet, like I mean he was just the first like well no he wasn't even the first guy to play Mario because we've got Captain Lou Albano before Bob Hoskins, and then Charles Martinet got started with the Mario 64. I assume was his first voice
Yes.
acting role for
Yeah.
Mario. So he's been Mario for the last nearly 30 years, which is bonkers.
Yeah, and so they sort of retrofit him into this movie. Weirdly, he's like both their dad and some other old guy.
Yeah, I
He
think-
plays two people for some reason.
Yeah, he's when the Mario Brothers watch their commercial in the pizza parlor, he's the old guy playing the arcade game. I think he was playing Jumpman,
Mhm.
which is just a fun little,
That is
Easter
cute.
egg.
That's like one of your first like moments of like, oh, this is gonna be one of those movies.
Mhm. Yeah.
Like where you're like,
Yeah.
oh, this, that,
Yeah.
ooh.
Yeah, and we're not the type of podcast that like is going to break our necks to point all these things out, but there was a lot of those little Easter eggs that I felt like just in like kids, they can see it, they don't see it. If it sparks an interest in playing some of the older games, like that's what I like. Is
Mhm.
like I feel really grateful that my nephews like playing old Nintendo games. Like
Yeah.
and like we had some family time and we played Super Mario Brothers 1, and they're good at it and they're not bored. They don't say like, oh, but the graphics are better on the Switch. Can we play Switch games? Like that's not the case with them. And I'm like, I think that this movie is catering to those types of interests too. Cause like when my nephews found out that at that point I had not watched the Super Mario Brothers movie, they're like, but you're you. Like you, this is what you like. Like you want to watch video game movies. And
Mhm.
they were so excited for me to see it, which I thought was a good sign that
Yeah.
like they liked it so much that they wanted to share that same joy that it brought them, which is
Yeah.
like that's what this is really crafted for, is to make kids happy. But as the adults get a little taste of that like good time too, then like props.
And I think while we're on this topic of like the Easter egg stuff, another nice thing that's done throughout the movie is they go really broad in source material
Yeah.
for quote unquote Easter eggs, where like Luigi's side story is like, it's just very tonally Luigi's Mansion.
That's right.
Like he gets a flashlight.
He's
It's
got the
very
tool
dark.
bag.
Yeah, like it's not like look, Luigi's Mansion. We did Luigi's Mansion,
But they
you know?
did it.
Yeah. So like you get that, and then like there's 1 star from Mario Galaxy, the like nihilist imprisoned star.
One of the greatest characters in film history. Played by like a real like 7-year-old or some age, like a little
I
kid
didn't know
did
that.
it. Yeah,
That's really
yeah.
funny.
That's what gives it that nice genuine feel.
Yeah. And then like there's the Mario Kart race, of course, on Rainbow Road, and like the
technically a Smash Bros match between Mario and Donkey Kong.
yeah, that's like another one. And like the blue shell thing is like, oh, it's just like this tactical thing that we fit into the movie instead of being like, look, we did the blue shell.
The blue shell actually sent a chill up my spine because to that Koopa Troopa, blue shell is kamikaze. And like he like, and we see that like when the Koopas when they quote unquote die, they just turn into the skeleton version. What are those called in the games? I forget what they're called. I wanted to call them Stalfos, but I know that's Legend of Zelda. But like, you know, Stalfos Koopas.
Is that what you're talking about?
The ones that like you could jump on them, they'll fall apart and then they'll reform after a little bit.
Yeah, dry bones.
So I know that like, I mean, the Koopa life cycle has like a perpetual motion where they don't permanently die. Nothing, but there was a lot of talk of death, of like Koopas being like, prepare to die, Mario.
Yeah, there's some weird moments like that.
It's like, I don't think that matches the tone. Like,
Yeah.
I always felt like the Koopas and the Goombas and all the bloopers and all those like monsters that are like, they're not like a militarized force in the games the way that I always like saw them. I just saw them as like, they are just the inhabitants of this land that Mario is traversing, and they happen to be like wild animals. Like, that's the way I always saw it. But Nintendo really wants you to be like, no, they're fascists. They have a dictator that flies around in an airship and kills penguins. The opening for this movie was so cute, with King Koopa taking over the Penguin Kingdom
from Mario 64. Like, again, it's not like, oh look, we rebuilt the thing from Mario 64.
Mm-hmm.
It feels like, oh no, it's just, this is a part of the kingdom.
That's right.
Inhabited by these types of characters that Bowser is taking over. Right. Yeah.
It made a cohesiveness to Super Mario World, like of the world. You know, the Mushroom Kingdom is just one part of it. There's still Dinosaur Land and the Mushroom Kingdom, and now we got Flower Kingdom and the Hat King. Is that what's going on in Odyssey? I played like the first like hour of Odyssey.
Dude, the first hour or two of Odyssey is so bizarre.
Can we talk about it for a second?
The art direction of the opening world is not inviting. It's very dark and like gray.
If I was like a boring like video essayist, I would just be like, this is actually about Mario escaping hell. Like, because like Mario falls off of the airship and then he like wakes up in a black and white, like there's ghosts everywhere. It's just like, I think Mario died, and this is like Mario's Odyssey is him like escaping hell.
Yeah, it's a very bizarre opening. You got to play 2 or 3 hours before it opens up. But honestly, it's one of my least favorite Mario games.
I mean, the minute I turned into a frog, I was in. I was just like, oh, I get it. I realized, I was like, because when you're playing a Nintendo game, the question of where is the fun shouldn't be on the front of your mind, because it should just appear. Like, that's how Nintendo games work. They're just so good at being like, this is a game. This is a game. You can gamify this. This is all fun in its own way. Like, you can have a simple objective, or you can go around and light every torch if you want to. Is there a bonus? No, but you can do it, and we love you for it.
Yeah.
It was an interesting start with Koopa like kidnapping the princess, but then like when you see it in 3D of like a woman just being like, no, with like a big giant turtle monster that's like I'm gonna marry you, it adds a darker tone to it, where it's just like, what do you mean, Koopa? Like, okay. The Mario family in the Super Mario Brothers movie, we have this really lovely dinner scene where you get this whole cast of different Marios.
Yeah.
I thought the way that they brought in the human the human side of the Marios, again, that's what brings you into why the movie works, in terms of like being like, this is the Marios. Now you can go play as him, and like you can put yourself in their shoes to some degree.
Yeah, I kept mentioning throughout the movie, like, I love how much they love each other. Like, that's the foundation of the movie for me. Without that, it's like, it doesn't work.
That was the recurring line, like, as long as we're together, nothing can go wrong, or something along those lines.
Right.
And that's great, fine, but it's also not true. Like,
But
don't-
you need it to have a heart to a story that, again, if we look at the 1993 Mario Brothers movie, there's not a lot there. It's just like a adventure where we go from A to B to C, etc. And this, like, making them just like keep refocusing on that relationship in the way a 5-year-old can understand.
Yeah.
Like is the glue that holds it together.
That's why it, like, okay, so a light tonal like subject of the film is that Mario is desperate for his father's approval. And same with Donkey Kong. They both are seeking their dad's approval. And I just like, okay, so the scene that we have with the Mario Brothers father, I guess in the plot of the movie, the Mario Brothers quit a steady, like, corporate plumbing job to go off on their own and start their own business. So they make a fun commercial. And the commercial uses the Super Mario Brothers Super Show intro, which, I mean, that music has power to me. It really, it transports me back to, like, breakfast cereal before school, watching the Super Mario Brothers Super Show in, like, grade school. And I didn't realize, like, how much that music actually, like, affects me. But so they've spent their life savings to make this commercial, and the family dinner is like their first chance to talk to their family who's seen it now that it's aired on TV. And the father basically accuses Mario of, like, giving up a good thing and bringing his brother down with him, which I thought was, like, that's, like, dark. That type of, like, parental disapproval is, like, all too, like, that hits very close to home of, like, of just, like, being like, oh, the way, like, the father says this, he's like, I think it's a shame that you're bringing your brother down with you. And Mario just, like, gets up. He's like, thanks for the support. Goes to his room, starts playing Kid Icarus.
Yeah.
And okay, I don't think this is what the filmmakers were going after, but there's, like, a Freudian, like, psychosexual aspect to the mushrooms and the father.
Go on.
So, okay, Mario, apparently, canonically, Mario does not like eating mushrooms.
Mhm.
So when mushrooms are served at dinner time, he's picking them all out and giving them to Luigi. Luigi loves mushrooms. He's a good boy. He's the mama's boy of the family for sure. And the father is just like, what's the matter? Everyone likes mushrooms. Like, just like eating mushrooms and mushrooms. I mean, you understand the phallic nature of a mushroom, of like the father, the phallic, the mushroom, the kingdom, like the keys to the kingdom, because Mario
And
is.
when the father forces him to eat the mushrooms, but he refuses, he's denying his own animus.
That's correct.
And I cry when I watch the cartoon Mario.
I did cry, Josh. But okay, so then again, like, the idea of, like, Mario being transported to hell in the Mushroom Kingdom is Mario's personal hell.
Yeah.
Where the only way that he can, like, survive is by eating mushrooms.
Mm-hmm.
And so he goes to the Mushroom Kingdom.
Which, like, at this point, I'm gonna just referring back to the '93 movie. It's like the only beat that we've missed is that Daisy, now Princess Peach, has not existed in their real world.
That's right.
Other than that, it's beat for beat been the exact same thing up to
Pretty
this
much,
point.
yeah.
And they didn't have a family in the original. But, like,
no, but they had.
we established their life in Brooklyn. They're struggling plumbers.
Yep.
And then they fall through a portal to another
portal,
world. And this it's more honest that it's like the pipes that we're used to.
Yeah. Instead of a 3D.
Instead of a wall. Just a wall.
So the moment that Mario, like, arrives in the Mushroom Kingdom, he meets Toad, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Toad is a mushroom that immediately loves him.
Yeah. Also, one of the first things that happens in the other movie when he gets
That's right.
there.
Oh my gosh, I love Toad. Mojo Nixon, man. We talked about him in the '93 Super Mario Brothers movie.
And I want to make one more quick note, like, on the voice cast. Keegan-Michael Key, like, seems like he's the only one trying. Like, it's kind of my overall vibe of it. As the more I think about, like, the characters, like, he is, like, not just doing, like, I'm Keegan-Michael Key talking like Keegan, you know? Like, he's like, oh, I actually thought about, like, what do the Toads sound like in the game? and how do I pull a
Yeah, get that
personality out
shrill,
of that. Yeah, like he did a good job.
I don't have as many complaints about the voice acting. I thought Chris Pratt. My wife put it really well because she watched it with me last night. She was like, I think that was the best Chris Pratt role because he doesn't sound like Chris Pratt. Like because he's finally not just being
Right.
Andy from the Parks and
Good
Rec.
point. Yeah.
Like this one, he does have a voice range that you don't typically get from him, and I also really adored the idea that like they only played up the Italian accents for their commercial so that these actors wouldn't have to do a fake Italian accent the entire
Yeah,
movie.
yeah.
I thought that was a very funny in-world excuse for them to. It's a me, but.
Sorry, finish that thought.
Oh, well, I just thought, I mean, Chris Pratt does a serviceable job. I mean, Mario is the star of the show, but he's also like not like the most exciting thing on the screen. It's all about what Mario's encountering. That's the interesting part. He's like the straight man in this comedy that like he's not the funniest person. He's like, it's funny things happen to Mario. Mario's not making funny things happen. And that works for Chris Pratt. He's not funny. Like,
No.
Well, you know what? I take that back.
The
I think
Andy
it's easy. It's
character-
easy to dump on him because he's so powerful and he's married to Arnold Schwarzenegger's daughter. But like at this point, like I mean, the world is getting a new Chris Pratt movie every like 2 months. It seems like.
Yeah. I feel like the Andy character was great when it happened in what?
06?
09,
Yeah, I don't
08,
remember.
whatever. Like, but that's a long time ago,
Mhm.
and like it got stale, and he has shown like not really given anything else fresh to the world. Like, there's the Star-Lord character, and
Yeah.
like everybody liked Guardians of the Galaxy mostly because it was just the first Marvel movie in a series of schlock that like had just a tiny drop of a point of view and wasn't just the same routine. And then now that's gone for like 10 movies and it's extremely stale.
Yeah.
You know, it's like he just doesn't really bring anything fresh. But to your point, I think like he does a serviceable job in this movie.
Yeah.
You know?
Major props to Charlie Day because he brought like I mean most people just know him as Charlie from It's Always Sunny and
Yeah.
like he was not that character necessarily and like
I don't know about you. I know him from Pacific Rim. But
that's right. Oh man, Pacific Rim was a fun
That movie
Is that a
rocks.
video game?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I was also going to sort of jokingly ask, like, yeah, but what about the wokeness problem with this movie? That the princess is a girl boss, played by Anya Taylor-Joy, who, I will be honest, doesn't do it. I was like, yeah, that's a female voice for the princess.
Yeah, I think they did a little bit of facial capture because the Princess Peach has that like very, very small asymmetrical mouth that Anya Taylor-Joy is like so well known for. I do think they did a little bit of facial capture for her.
I have no idea. Like, I haven't seen her in much. I do want to see Furiosa, but like, I don't know what it is about her that people find appealing, other than that's like this is a striking face to look at.
She's got the biggest eyes and
You
the
know?
smallest mouth.
But
and-
like, I don't know. Maybe that Queen's Gambit show is actually really, really good.
It's
I don't
okay.
know. But like in this, I was like, yeah, that's a female voice.
She
like
was-
it didn't really bring the character to life for
No.
me in any way.
I mean, but what is the Princess Peach character? Like what this is
Yeah,
where
and
we
I
talk
think
about
people
source
are like-
material.
Like that whole like, oh, they made her a girl boss thing is like quote unquote insulting to people because they're like, oh, that's not source material. And it's like, yeah, but like they needed to give her something. Like otherwise she's literally just a damsel in distress.
And she is not that at all in this film.
Yeah.
At any point, like even when she submits to marry Bowser, it's like she's like Luke Skywalker in Return of the Jedi with R2 in the lightsaber
Yeah.
and like Jabba the Hutt. Like she has a plan that is like, I just need to get close enough to Bowser to do this, then I can save more people.
Yeah.
Like she is a girl boss, and like, hey, if you play Super Smash Brothers, if someone's playing as Peach, they have just as good a chance to beat the shit out of your character than any other character does.
Yeah, like-
and it doesn't make sense for there to be like that type of gender role in this type of movie.
Yeah.
Like we're past damsel in distress as a culture.
Like she hasn't been in that gender role as a character since Mario 64-ish, you know?
Yeah.
Like she's usually just a participant along with everybody else at this point. She has her own games, like get over it, basically.
Those types of complaints are completely irrelevant. That is just like water going down a gutter. It's like, you hear it and I can just let it flow.
I just like to address them because that's like 90% of video game discourse on YouTube where we put the show at this point, that I like to be like, just shut up.
Yeah, that's
whenever we get the opportunity. But that being said, I do stand by the fact that like Anya Taylor-Joy does it no favors to bring it to life as it's written.
Yeah, the character was fine. It's what I would expect from a modern Princess Peach.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was strange though. Like her backstory is that like she was like a baby that apparently went through a warp tunnel, and so she was just raised by the Toads, and then for some reason they make her their princess. Like it's like almost like a Quetzalcoatl kind of thing, where this like strange god being arrives, and like the natives have to like you know they raise her to that level. It's a strange dynamic.
Yeah, that part of the movie is a little bit yada yada'd into place of like, and then they made me their queen. I don't know why.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. But she's like a warrior queen, where it's like they're like, the queen, we need you to do something.
Yeah,
that's her role as like I guess because she's a human. Like she sees Mario, she's like, you're a human, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like because that's a rarity in the Mushroom Kingdom, and so apparently, I mean, wait, did the power-ups work on anybody, not just humans?
I don't know. Did they? I don't know if
Donkey
they show that
Kong gets a
happening.
fire flower at one point.
Okay. Yeah.
I don't know, but because she's a human, she's ordained to rule, I suppose, is the logic behind why she's the princess.
I guess. I don't know.
It makes. I mean, if we were to talk about like Daisy's parents in the Super Mario Brothers '93 film, like you know, we get to see both of her parents. Her mother was played by the same actress that played Daisy, and her father was a mushroom.
Yeah,
he was that fungus that was growing everywhere. So maybe just no parents is a little bit easier. They don't have to. They don't have to.
It's like the one like point that it derives from that movie is like that her dad is not originally from the Mushroom Kingdom or whatever, that she is just some human baby that wandered in there. Other than that, it's pretty much the same movie.
Yep, it's great. It's the same movie, but it understands what Mario is.
Yeah.
And it doesn't look at it like, it's not as condescending or like, I don't know. I think I said this before, but like I did not feel pandered to in watching this new Super Mario Brothers movie. I felt it was just the right balance of remember this from the game without it being shoved in your face, while also being like, hey, if you don't know what this is, here's an easy introduction to these characters and places.
Or like the world feels built enough that even if you don't know what it is, you go, oh, okay, I accept that. Yeah.
So in terms of the Super Mario Brothers, so we've got Mario, and they didn't have fun with the name if it was like Mario, Luigi Mario, but I have to assume so because they're the Mario Brothers, and Plummon's their game. They're not like the others that get all the fame.
Right, and we've met their whole family, so.
They're all the Marios. But so Mario has this like hero's journey. And like the movie is interested in portraying Mario as like the savior. Like, I mean, he has like a Christ-like sacrifice where at the end of the movie, he saves the Mushroom Kingdom from that like nuclear-sized bullet bill. And it's just like Mario's about to like, whatever. But Luigi, and you mentioned this before where they did the quote-unquote Luigi's Mansion section. Like Luigi is like subjected to horrors. And like it's a where
like he is imprisoned above pits of lava for most of the movie.
He's the damsel in distress. It's a kind of a refreshing change of pace. Because if Peach was in Luigi's position, like we'd be like, oh, okay, like it was a somewhat fresh approach. And also like I wanted to think it was like did you ever play Mario is Missing?
Oh my god, yeah.
Remember
I
that?
hated it so much.
That was like a weird like edutainment game.
Yeah. Because like I just remember a friend or somebody renting it as a kid.
Thinking it was going to be a new
And
Mario
you get
game.
in, you're just like, I'm just walking around. There's
Mhm.
nothing to do.
Yeah.
I hated it.
I thought it was maybe like an inverse of Mario is missing. Luigi is missing.
Yeah.
There's okay, let's talk about King Koopa's like parasocial like fixation on Peach.
Mhm.
Where I think this is like okay, so the Peaches song, right? It's a very sweet, like power ballad that Jack Black's a very talented musician, and like, you can
Like I really wonder how much they let him put himself into this. This is the one thing where it feels like, oh, the actor really got to play around.
So King Koopa has this like asexual obsession with Peach, where I think what they're doing is like they're showing like toxic insecurity as a villainous trait, which I think is a good progressive like way of like being like, hey, no, like sometimes you just need to like be confident and like, follow your heart. And like, I think the message of this movie is that like getting what you want won't save you necessarily, because like King Koopa thinks that because he has the power star, because he's amassed the wealth, that he's like, he's kind of an incel, like, right? Like where he's like amassed the wealth.
Energy's
He's like,
there for
I've
sure.
done all the things.
Yeah.
Why won't you? Why
He's a
won't you love
hashtag
me?
nice guy.
Yeah, exactly. But when you know that a hashtag nice guy is actually like the worst guy.
Yeah.
I just thought that was an interesting way to portray him as a villain, where he's not Dennis Hopper saying, I want those Mario brothers, man. Like,
Or his weird obsession with the princess. And like
He had,
that
like-
was very like a psychosexual thing in a different direction.
yeah. But for Koopa, he's like more just like, I need this arranged marriage so that I can rule the world. Like at the end of the day, spoiler alert, King Koopa's a megalomaniac. And his main goal is to take over Brooklyn as well, where we get a strangely 9/11 reminiscent scene of like Brooklyn like under siege as like buildings are crumbling as King Koopa's like big airship.
Now I'm lost again which movie you're talking about, because that happens in both movies.
I know, yeah, but we don't see the
And
Twin Towers.
The first
in
one
this
actually is the Twin Towers.
Oh my god.
Anyway.
But no, like the way that they portrayed Koopa as a villain, I thought was a somewhat fresh approach in terms of this character is not just me. He is mean and he like, abuses his minions the same way that you would expect any like cartoon mob boss to act. But like he at least has this like vulnerability that I found quite charming. I this movie made me like be like, okay, well, if Jack Black is going to sell his soul to be like a corporate shill from now on, like at least he can bring a little bit of his like subversiveness to the film. And I think that's what they're banking on, is they want a little bit. And like, I would not say Jack Black at this point has like street cred in terms of like being like a
for
subversive
anyone over
artist.
the age of 12,
Right.
no.
But he does have like, I mean, at least we've got like a true blue Satanist in this movie. Like that's quite cool. Like we have multiple characters who just like in the public eye talk about smoking weed as like you got
Right.
Seth Rogen as Donkey Kong, and you can't help but just be like, yeah, that's the weed guy. Like he
Yeah.
just makes vases now.
I mean, honestly, if we think about like who's the most subversive cast member, it's probably Charlie Day. Like
Sure.
Always Sunny is probably the most sort of touchy, edgy thing like out there that any of these people are involved in.
and Charlie Day is like the
like the most
sweetest
rough edge thing.
but he's
you
like
know?
the sweetest heart in this movie. Like
yeah, which makes him like, and
he's got that range
I was gonna say he's also the sweetest heart in Always Sunny
to some degree.
Like he's still a bad guy, but like it's the same as Meatwad from Aqua Teens.
Yeah.
Like his stupidity makes him affable and lovable.
Charlie, were you drinking that paint?
Yeah, like, and this Luigi's a little smarter, but it's like still that same heart of like, I'm just some dumb, lovable guy, and that's why it works.
Yeah.
Sorry, we keep rounding back to the voice cast. I don't know.
Well, I mean,
but,
when you watch a movie, you talk about the actors, and that's what we have to work on right now.
yeah.
Because like, what, you want to talk about the plot? Oh, So Mario meets Princess Peach.
Watch Mario Brothers 93 and you'll know the plot.
Well, the inclusion. I mean, I would have loved to see what the 1993 film would have, how they
Kongs.
would have handled the Kong family.
Yeah.
But I mean, in that one, we've got we've got Seth Rogen, we got Fred Armisen as the lead
That's
Kongs.
Cranky Kong.
Yeah, and that was great.
Yeah, and look, Cranky Kong, they do this more sort of like indigenous South American cultural aesthetic for the Kongs.
Yeah, they really wanted to avoid the African music jungle beat because that's just you can't do that with cartoon monkeys.
Oh, that's it. I didn't really think about that because
I just thought of the racial implications of having
right.
talking
No.
monkeys.
I think that's kind of a good point of making it a little bit more culturally ambiguous. Kind of makes sense for that reason. But I absolutely detest this scene where they drive in and you see the world. And they was it Take on Me,
which
God.
doesn't even make sense. That's the thing.
It sucks so. It made me so mad.
We are in full agreement here because I would have loved to hear what the Nintendo team would do with this.
Yeah.
Because that they've just play some more of the Mario Kart theme.
Yeah.
Who cares? It's all and I'm not saying it's all good as that term. It's all good music.
Yeah.
Nintendo has so much good original music that putting the Beastie Boys in the Super Mario Brothers movie and Take On Me and what was the other one? Thunderstruck or something.
I think you hear Thunderstruck at one point. There's I Need a Hero when they're doing the training montage.
That one makes somewhat sense,
Ugh.
but it's such a lazy choice. It is literally just they let AI decide the soundtrack.
So I think I mentioned this on an episode a year ago. I swear I don't think I'm Mandela affecting this. I have seen a cut of this scene in the Kong Kingdom where they're doing the Mario Kart drive-in and doing the exposition or expository shots of the world, where they used a new arrangement of David Weiss's Donkey Kong Country.
Yeah. That'd be great.
Like a orchestrated version. I swear that exists. I swear I've seen and heard it, and I would assume the team who made this movie did that, and there's probably my first guess is maybe some weird licensing issue caused them to pull it out. Maybe it was cheaper, even though they'd already composed it and produced it, maybe just the license to pull Take On Me was cheaper than
Interesting.
perpetually licensing this music that's maybe more owned by Rare than it is by Nintendo or something, which is
interesting.
now a Microsoft company.
Oh, they just didn't want Bill
I don't
Gates to
know.
get in this.
It could have been they were just producing while negotiating and pulled it for that reason.
Interesting. I think that's pretty insightful. I would,
And this is why I was
believe
digging.
that.
I was I want to know
Campers,
these choices were made.
leave-
no
leave-
one knows.
leave a link to that cut in the comments, please.
Dude, it was on Twitter. I swear I saw it around when the movie came
Yeah.
out.
If you know where that trailer is with the original Donkey Kong music,
Please.
please share that with us.
And
in
it was
the
a
comments.
million times better.
I believe you.
So I don't know, the No Sleep Till Brooklyn one's I almost forgive it because we haven't left the real world yet.
And because I adore the Beastie Boys.
Yeah. But yeah, all
That's
of
a good
these
point.
overall are just ugh.
That would have made tonally more sense. Use Earth music on Earth. Use Mushroom Kingdom music in the Mushroom Kingdom.
Yeah.
That's a really brilliant way of treating the worlds and having that separation. Yeah, I'm really curious what those Zelda movies going to look like in the next because they're saying it's not it'll be out before 2030. It's just so no, because we're gonna run out of natural resources.
Right.
before that. The world's gonna end soon.
There's gonna be no carbon or there's gonna be no emissions left to put into the air.
Oh, God.
We'll have destroyed the ozone with AI slop by then, but anyways. Speaking of the licensing stuff, this is again, I hope I'm not Mandela affecting a memory here. The Donkey Kong entrance where we hear the DK rap.
Yeah.
I swear, again, I saw people on Twitter being oh my God, they put the DK rap in the movie. And the guy who wrote it being oh, that's crazy. I'm pretty sure he didn't even know. And people were yeah, dude, your song made it in the movie. We love it. And he was oh, I guess that's nice that people love this thing that I immediately thought was stupid right after I did it. So some of it is there. And again, I this goes back to licensing. Maybe we'll get a Tetris movie style movie of the making of this movie 15 years from now of people having thriller style adventures about licensing deals.
It's the heroic tale of the intern who forgot to bring the goldfish crackers.
Yeah. But I don't know. Otherwise, the Kong Kingdom stuff I like for the most part.
It was fun. Fred Armisen, I think, did another good like comedic role where he doesn't sound like Fred Armisen. He's playing Cranky Kong in a way that I enjoyed.
This is maybe not the best venue to discuss this, but I'm shocked that Fred Armisen never got Me Too'd in a way that destroyed his career. He is definitely very publicly on record as a sex pest.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Oh no.
And like, I'm pretty sure there's an episode of like him on WTF with Mark Maron, just like being very open about it. Of like, yeah, I'm a creep.
Oh.
He was, I believe, married to the woman who plays Peggy in Mad Men, and she was just like, yeah, these are all the ways he abused me, and everybody was like, meh.
But
We
he's
like
so
him too
charming.
much.
Oh, that's such a. Ugh.
Yeah. Anyways.
Man, okay. So who else? That just I didn't know about that.
That just shocks me every time I see
real
him in a
time.
movie, especially a kid's movie, that I'm like, memories aren't perfect, but I'm seeing a lot of stuff about his past, and everybody just seems to shrug it off.
That's so. I watched the first like 20 minutes of 2019 film The Secret Life of Pets, which I might even
With
be,
Louis C.K.
with Louis C.K. as the main dog.
Yeah.
And as soon as he started talking, I was like, oh, this had to be before 2020. Like,
Anyway.
oh boy,
So the Mario Brothers movie.
boys will be boys, right? Well, okay, and I meant that facetiously. I don't believe that. The blue mushroom inclusion, where like eating the blue mushroom shrinks you, I thought was a very fun
Mhm.
like reference to the lost levels. That's the first time I remember encountering the poisonous mushroom.
Mhm.
Is that what they're going after?
Toad mentions the poisonous mushroom right when Mario gets there. He's
Right.
like, don't eat that one.
Yeah.
The small mushroom might be Mario Land, maybe?
Oh, right, because it doesn't kill you; it just makes you smaller.
Yeah.
That was a very Mario Wonder type of power up. That was
Yeah.
well, you even do that at one point when you're fighting one of the Kid Koopas.
Yeah.
That was cute.
But the
thing.
blue tiny mushroom that makes you smaller is from a 80s, 90s Mario game.
Yeah,
I just
okay.
don't remember exactly which one. I want to say Mario Land. But yeah. Yeah, what else we got?
I think a big part of this movie's like message is that like it's progressive to transform. Like you need to grow in order to like progress. And like for Mario, that's like literally like I need to start eating mushrooms so that I can get bigger. But in the movie, it's like, it's more about like I need to stand up for myself and I need to take responsibility for my family and help people around me. Like, I mean, Mario is just such a classic hero where it's like his motivation immediately upon getting separated from Luigi is save Luigi.
Mhm.
And it's that like single track mind. And his like the other like recurring line is like, you just don't know when to quit, right? Like that's Mario. That's playing Mario. You sometimes you don't know when to quit because you have addiction problems or whatever. But
Yeah. I was talking to a friend just this week who said she spent her sabbatical playing Mario Odyssey, but she's stuck on like there's like a final difficult level. And I was like, yeah, you could just quit at that point. Like those levels are for guys like me who like blow through the rest of it and need an actual challenge.
Yeah.
And she's like, no, I have to.
yeah,
I'm a completionist.
yeah. Man, you ever watch The Completionist here on YouTube?
No.
The
That guy
completionist-
also canceled.
Yeah, he got oopsied up. But I always thought that was like they even express in that show, like in The Completionist, like it's miserable to do that.
Yeah.
Like it's just this like hollow-eyed guy. It's just like, okay, I gotta 100% on
Yeah.
Donkey Kong 64.
I've got to really love a game to do that. Like,
Yeah.
for example, we're not at the end of this yet, our little palate cleanser segment, but I just finished Metaphor ReFantasio,
Yeah.
and that game encourages you to become a min-max goblin to the extreme.
Yeah.
And like, I streamed the opening of the game and the end of the game, and like the difference in my tone, even though I loved it, is just like, I'm dead-eyed, like you just said, because I'm just like, I had to do it all. I'm so full. Like, I can't eat another bite, but I have to finish this.
Yes.
I didn't even 100% it. Like, I just did like most of what you could do in a first run. Anyway, but
we talked about this with the Korok seeds in our Breath of
Yeah.
the Wild discussion, where it's just like the end goal is a piece of shit when you
Right.
collect all of the Korok seeds. They're like, all right, it's all for this.
yep.
It's all for
you
shit.
idiot.
Yeah. Okay. The visual spectacle. I mean, it's hard to be like, yeah. The cinematography is great in this 2023 movie because it's all it's all animated, but it's engaging. The colors are bright and garish, and
Yeah.
they work, and
I would
they
describe-
tell the story in a tonal way that works very well.
I would describe like an Illumination movie like this in terms of cinematography and stuff is like, it's very by the book, like we're currently like, we're just watching like the Mario Kart scene, and like each shot I can like visually see the original storyboard.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Like, there's nothing daring or like super interesting going, but it's extremely serviceable.
Yeah.
It's in a way that like a 5-year-old to 10-year-old, whatever, watching this is not going to be like, what's going on? This is too confusing, even though there's a lot going on.
There's a lot going on, but the motives of the characters are very clear. There's nothing muddled up. Like, I didn't feel like there was too much of like any sort of like expository scenes that like are just there to tell a story and not like let you see the story.
Mhm.
This movie is very show don't tell, and it has this like it's I mean, everything looks like it's in a I mean, everything could just be used in a music video. That's like, it's got that kind of hype, like, in
Yeah.
the velocity of the
Throw
shots.
any song on here that's recorded at 120 beats per minute, and it'll probably line up beat for beat.
Oh, it'll give you a heart
attack. I'm saying it'll probably like edit wise line up
Yeah.
exactly.
One minor complaint was just that like they felt the need to give Daisy like a million different outfits in this movie, and that's obviously,
You mean Peach?
what did I say, Daisy? Yeah,
Yeah.
Peach.
Same
Sorry,
thing.
I'm an old man. I grew up with her being Daisy. But yeah, Peach
Yeah.
Peach has like several outfit changes that are just like, why did she change her clothes but no one else did? Like, why is she wearing a bootylicious like motorcycle skin tight like Kill Bill inspired suit? They even
Which is her Mario Kart like outfit.
Oh, okay. That's just my ignorance then.
I am somebody who will always account for like the horniness of animators at the end of the day.
Yes, that's
Is
where
like,
I was getting with this.
when people like talk about like, dang, look at these Cartoon Network characters. It's like, yeah, man.
yeah, they were made by horny guys like you.
These are made by men, and men are a little creepy.
Yeah. I specifically think about Dexter's Lab.
Yeah.
The mom in Dexter's Lab had like the donkest bonk.
The secretary from Powerpuff Girls.
Oh,
or
yeah.
like
Oh,
whatever,
yeah.
the assistant to the mayor.
You don't even see her face.
Yeah.
Ooh, the nanny from Muppet Babies.
yeah.
Oh boy. Okay, so Bowser does not marry Peach, and then he sends a bullet bill at everybody. Mario is in his Tanuki Mario suit, and he like pulls like a Spider-Man 3 kind of like save the city type of thing. I like that, like, he knows. So the way that Mario is able to subvert the bullet bill's trail is by hitting it in the eyeball, because it's a living thing. Again, it's just like, it's like a bullet bill was just made to die. Like, it's just kind of like the when you make this
Kamikaze, just like the Blue Show.
yeah, when you make it a sentient character, you're just like, oh, what a nightmare life
Yeah.
the bullet bill has.
Yeah. It's I don't know. I don't want to get too deep into it because it is a dumb, serviceable kids movie. It's like as motivation at this point, like just like save the kingdom that he spent like 2 days in, and like he's the one who has to do it is a little bizarre because he saved his brother at this point, right?
Yeah.
Like-
I mean, I don't think Mario's the kind of guy to go, okay, see you
No,
later.
like I don't know. It's just I don't know. It is what it is.
Mhm.
It's a kids movie. I gotta
Yeah.
let it go.
The scene where Koopa invades Brooklyn straight out of the original film.
Yeah.
I like a Mountain Dew every once in a while.
Mhm.
You know, it's just it's bad for you. You know it's bad for you, and it's made out of a lot of junk. But this chemical it's tickling my brain the right way.
Yeah. So that does happen, and that's when we get sort of the big moment where the Mario Brothers get to use the star power, and that's how they are able to finally stop Bowser. And oh gosh, I really hope we have the clip of it. Oh man, I don't know. Anyway, there's a Evangelion reference.
Go off, King.
And I lost my goddamn mind. So when they get the star power and they are like teaming up, Mario and Luigi team up once they've activated the star
Asuka?
power. It's from Evangelion, Dance Like You Want to Win.
Oh my god. Oh
where
my god.
they have to do the synchronized attack against an angel, and they do the dual like drop kick. They show Mario and Luigi doing that for like half a second, and I just lost my goddamn mind. It's like one of the most iconic like little shots. I mean, there's so many in Evangelion, but that's one that like, especially now that the show is so like widely available in the US through Netflix, it's like that's a very memeable thing. And the fact that it made it in this movie forgave most of my complaints.
That rocks.
Unfortunately, we don't have the clip, but just go watch it. It's there. Trust
I was
me.
really disturbed by that scene with Toad in the hospital room.
Toad, after they had to take Princess Peach to the hospital and he was alone in the room with her. Yeah, it was pretty bad. But
what does he say with his sticky hands? Like, I hate myself, or I'm so ashamed of myself.
I'm the lowest of the low.
I'm the lowest of. I'm at the lowest of the low.
Mario, you're the lowest of the low.
Oh, you know his O face. He's going, Mamma Mia. Oh boy. I am done talking about Super Mario Brothers movie. I'm glad it's made. I'm glad I watched it twice this week. It's not gonna join the heavy rotation of like the Dark Days movies, because like I've got those.
Mhm.
I've got those movies that come like for example, yesterday I started rewatching the first half of the Lord of the Rings, and
Nice.
it doesn't work anymore.
Yeah.
I need something stronger.
Yeah. I've said pretty much everything I had to say. I wouldn't mind watching it, like once a year with the kid.
Yeah. I want to watch this with my nephews next, like, because I know they love it, and watching it with them will bring me that little scrap of joy that I feel like I deserve.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's the Mario Brothers movie 2023. Pretty well done. I don't mind that it exists. That's one of like my top compliments I've given to an adaptation.
Yeah, that is high praise for you.
Yeah.
So you already mentioned your palate cleanser. You finished that game. You playing anything new? You looking forward to anything?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I finished that one about a week ago. We're recording this late November. I actually just recorded my probably about hour-long review of it. That'll probably be up before this episode. Carl's Manager on YouTube, if you want to check that out. But I legit finished it, and then I've been in a bit of a depression since.
Yep.
There's something about like it was such a poignant escape for this moment in history that we are sitting in, that like once it was gone, I was like, oh no, reality.
It's back.
But I strongly recommend anybody, again, if you need an 80 or so hour escape from it all, Metaphor Refantasio. And then I've been kind of cleaning up shorter indie games this week that I just needed to just kind of have something that doesn't bog down my whole existence. So I blasted through Hyper Light Drifter. Are you familiar with this?
That's gotten some good reviews.
It's very interesting. It's like a Zelda / Souls-like SNES style game.
Yeah,
That has zero dialogue in it.
love it.
But the world building is incredibly detailed. You're living in this like post-apocalyptic world where there's like these remnants of titans all around. So you're just constantly wondering like what happened to this world, and now I'm in a point where it's dying again.
Love it.
Is very interesting. And now I'm playing Pentiment. It's directed by the guy who directed Fallout New Vegas.
Whoa.
But it's a very small, just narrative, walk around, talk to people, solve a mystery game set in 15th century Bavaria in a monastery. And you're like a what do they call him? Like
Scribe?
the guy, a scribe, like a guy who just would make those big, elegant books that were so artistic or whatever. And you're just like a visitor trying to solve this crime.
That sounds wonderful.
It's amazing.
What platform are you playing that on?
It's on Switch.
On Switch?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's like it's an Obsidian game. Like he like I think it was he said like after he finished, I think it was New Vegas. He was like, I'm pretty tired. If I can keep it under budget and keep this team small enough, can I make my own small thing? And they were like, oh, okay. And then this game came out and it's amazing. I think it came out in 2022. It's check it out.
You should check out
Pentiment
Fallout
rules.
New Vegas. I
We
think
might
you'd
get there
enjoy that
someday.
one. That's a very
Yeah.
story heavy game.
Yeah. What
so-
you been on?
Well, speaking of Fallout, I've been playing Fallout 4 because I mean the end is nigh, man. Might as well get used to it.
Oh, we have different approaches to these things.
Fallout 4 is so far my least favorite in the series, but it's got a lot of the same components that make a good Fallout game. I'm a diehard fan of the original semi-isometric like CRPGs before they became first-person shooters. I thought Fallout 3, which was like the departure into the new world of what we now know as Fallout, was a pretty good game, but I don't feel like anything significantly like improved between 3 and 4. There's a lot of quality of life stuff, and they've added a lot of different like crafting and building, and you can create your own communities, and I can even design a bedroom if I want to, and like make the whole like make my own virtual home. But the characters,
I feel like I've heard very mixed reviews of this game for that reason.
Yeah.
Like some people are just like absorbed into it for hundreds of hours
Yeah.
because of that stuff. And other maybe like Fallout purists are like, eh.
I can't judge it yet because I haven't beat it, and I think the only way to really tell is to I'm trying my best to just work through the main story in the way that I think it should happen, because Fallout is notorious / famous for really embracing the branching paths, and like different like allegiances can lead to completely different circumstances at the end of the game, and that's all good. But it's also kind of overwhelming, and I look forward to getting the main story out of the way so that then I don't feel guilty for listening to other people talk about the more intricate stuff that I'm willing to miss, but I'd love to hear about it. That's the way I feel about Fallout 4. It is a game that people can live inside.
Yeah.
And I don't want that.
That's the way
type
I
of
am about
game.
most games.
That's what I like.
I want
That's
to
why
pick
I
it
stopped.
up like a book and then put it down when I've reached the end of the story.
Yeah. That's why I stopped playing Red Dead Redemption 2, because I was just like collecting like beaver pelts. And I was like, what am I doing? Like, I'm just checking things off of a list, and
Just escaping, man.
I mean,
escaping the horrors of reality.
it's been almost a year since I've played it, and I might go back, like, because I'd like to get the story again, because I've deprived myself of listening to other like critics talk through those games, and those games have a lot to go in terms of storytelling. Fallout is one of the best like written but executed. All the characters there's such a uncanny valley that is just like I can't view these characters as real. Like they're just like if they embrace like the Mario aesthetic and like they had like very bright, garish, cartoonish things, like that would even work better than trying to look real with it.
Which did you watch the show yet?
Oh yeah, loved the show.
Did the show do that to some degree? Because I've only seen trailers and I haven't played Fallout, but I got a sense of that. It's a little less tonally serious than a Red Dead.
Oh yeah. I mean, Fallout is a funny game. Like it's the epitome of dark humor.
Yeah.
Like whenever you're ready to play Fallout, I think if you played Fallout 4, you'd get the gist of what the games offer. In terms of like, okay, what I mean, you already know what it is. It's a post-apocalyptic landscape in which there are people living in vaults and there are some people living up in the wastelands, and you can just go with that. Like that's like it's like Dungeons and Dragons. It's like I don't know, there's dungeons and there's dragons, and like Fallout is like, well, there's the fallout from a nuclear war, and now you know what can you do with it? And it's really a game just about like creating society in chaos in terms of like building communities and letting people like giving people initiative and like giving them tasks and like a lot of micromanagement. I'm not into that. I do like shooting monsters though, and that's pretty cool when they do that too. We'll save our Fallout talk for maybe another time.
Yeah.
Whenever you're ready to really feel like it's the end.
I'm also thinking about like Red Dead 2. Like, is there if we could pin down like what is the closest influence like of a Western like novel or something to pair with it someday might be interesting.
I've been on a bit of a Western kick lately. And we probably talked about this just last time, where I finished reading Lonesome Dove, which is a big Western epic that I feel is a basis for a lot of Red Dead stuff. But
maybe that's why this is on my mind.
Yeah. No, I think the Leone like spaghetti westerns are the closest like parallel.
That'd be interesting.
Like what was it, the Dollars trilogy, Fistful of Dollars for a few dollars more, and The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. Those are beautiful movies, and I believe they're all free to watch on YouTube.
I love to hear that.
I do too.
Anyways,
that's my palate cleanser. I've been preparing for the end.
Nah, it'll be fine. Everybody's gonna be all right. Because we're gonna keep talking here around the campfire at Camp Video Games, forever. I don't know, or till whenever, till the end comes.
I'm gonna go back in my car, listen to the Super Mario Brothers rap, cry, and flick off a guy driving an Escalade.
I'm gonna do the same thing, but it's gonna be the DK rap.
Thanks, campers.
If you'd like to write to us, send a message to campvideogames@gmail.com and follow us on Instagram at Camp Video Games. If you want to become a real happy camper, you can support Camp Video Games on Patreon. For $5 a month, you'll be granted access to even more discussions about movie-based video games, game-based movies, full-length commentaries, playthroughs, and more. Whether you sign up or not, we're glad to have you here at Camp Video Games.